It's the Opperman Report. And now, here is investigator Ed Opperman.
In Springfield, they're eating the dogs. They're eating the cats. They're eating the pets of the people that live there. They're eating the dogs. They're eating the cats. They're eating the pets of the people that live there.
People of Springfield, please don't eat my cats. Why would you do that? Eat something else. People of Springfield, please don't eat my dog. Here's a catalog of other things to eat.
They're eating the dogs.
Whoa, 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 whoa.
They're eating the cats.
Meow, 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 meow.
They're eating the pets of the people that live there. They're eating the dogs.
Whoa, 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 whoa.
They're eating the cats.
Meow, 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 meow.
They're eating the pets of the people that live there. They're eating the dogs. They're eating the cats. They're eating the dogs.
Whoa, 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 whoa.
They're eating the cats.
Meow, 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 meow.
They're eating the pets of the people that live there. They're eating the dogs.
Whoa, 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 whoa.
They're eating the cats.
Meow, 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 meow.
They're eating the pets of the people that live there. In Springfield, they're eating the dogs, the people that came in. They're eating the cats. They're eating the pets of the people that live there. And this is what's happening in our country.
Okay, welcome to the Opperman Report. Boy, I screwed up there. I had the intro playing, but we weren't live yet. I kind of screwed up the timing. It's a little tricky thing with the timing at the beginning. I got to edit some stuff. But welcome to the Opperman Report. I'm your host, Private Investigator Ed Opperman. You could find me at Opperman Investigations and Digital Forensic Consulting. If you email me at oppermaninvestigations@gmail.com. Now, if you like our show, be sure to check out our Patreon, Opperman Report Patreon. As a matter of fact, if you go there, I got all the P. Diddy stuff. I got the indictments, and I got that Jonathan Odie video. That's really good stuff, guys. You got to check that out. This guy, Jonathan Odie, in 2018, he went and shot up the Doral Golf Course, the Trump Doral Golf Course. And then he gets shot himself, okay? But he's like such a monster, this guy. He's ripped physically, and he's wearing like a hospital gown. He's bullet holes in him, okay? And he's sitting there being interviewed by the U.S. Secret Service, and he lays out, 2018, he lays out everything that was in the Cassie lawsuit, and he lays out everything that was laid out in this indictment, just came out this week. So you got a lot of other crazy stuff he's talking about too. I'm going to spend more time talking about that later, but that's in the Patreon right now for free. That's in the free section of Patreon. Forget that. Plus a lot of great content too in Patreon. You can find there. Everything you find Monday to Friday in AM/FM radio, you can find over there at Patreon, the Opperman Report Patreon. Now, the archives are free. You go to Spreaker.com and do a live show every Friday night at 8 p.m. for now. Come January 1st, they're going to discontinue this live option. So I still don't know what I'm going to do. Maybe through Patreon. I don't know what I'm going to do. I have no idea what I'm going to do. If I'm even alive by then, who knows? But for now, 8 p.m. Eastern Time, there's a live show every Friday night, solo show where I just talk, and then with 2 hours of brand new content every Friday night. Now, I know a lot of people have trouble figuring out which day of the week is Friday. So you have 7 fingers or 7 digits, right? You can count to 5 on one hand and 2 on the other hand. Or you can take a sock off and use toes for the last 2 toes, or even 5 toes on one foot and 2 toes on the other foot. And that's how you know it's Friday night when the live content comes out and when, what do you call it? The live content comes out and the brand new shows come out on Friday night. Let's stop here. Before I get started, I want to give a little shout out, a birthday shout out to Eliana. Eliana Nicole Preston. She's big birthday coming up, 4 years old. When I saw a picture of this little girl, I figured she was 5 or 6 or 7 or something like that because she's so big and beautiful, and she's so smart. She loves Barbies and candy, going swimming, and she likes YouTube. And this is going to be on YouTube. She can watch it there. Like all my fans on YouTube. I got so many wonderful people that love me on YouTube. I got another one, Eliana Nicole Preston. And it's her birthday coming up. So happy birthday, Nicole. Eliana Nicole. Ellie, they call her. So thank you so much. Happy birthday. And I got to tell you, her mom and her grandma, they're such nice people. They're the nicest people I've met since I moved to Florida. That's without a doubt. I can tell you that for a fact. Now, her birthday's coming up, and her mom has a lot of kids. And I wish I had that many kids, too, man. Her mom has a lot of kids, though. And so they had a little GoFundMe that they put together to help a little girl celebrate at Disney World. So you go there to GoFundMe and check that out. I'll have the link on my Facebook and my Twitter, I promise you, and the Opperman Report Facebook and the Ed Opperman Facebook. And it's Help a Little Girl Celebrate at Disney World, and you'll see the name there, Eliana Nicole Preston. 4 years old. Happy birthday. A great mom there and dad and family. They're a beautiful family, this Eliana Nicole Preston. Happy birthday. Tonight, coming up, we have 2 shows coming up tonight after the live segment. And Patrick Berge is back. Okay, Patrick Berge, who, I love this guy, man. And we don't agree on a lot of politics and stuff like that, but we get along fine. He's a cool guy. He was with Bikers for Trump, you know. He testified, he was he was behind the scenes watching the coup attempt there, right? He spills a lot of stuff again. We got a lot of stuff out of this guy again. And but one thing, he blew my mind, and I almost missed it because I've been really sick this week. There were 2 nights this week. I didn't sleep all night long. I couldn't lie down and breathe. I couldn't breathe if I lied down. I had to try to sleep sitting up in a chair. But I'm feeling a lot better. But the night before I did that interview was the night I'd been up all night, and I had just taken a nap right before I did the interview. I woke up right before it, and so I was a little fuzzy. And he tells me this story about Taylor Swift. See, the thing with Patrick Berge is when he went and enlisted in the Army at like 39 years old, some crazy thing like that, he went to work for this intelligence operation involving social media manipulation and a computer program where they would data mine information about people and determine if they would be loyal employees for the U.S. government. And they're using this for all different kinds of things now. It's kind of like Cambridge Analytica, if you know what that is. And he just lays out. He goes, "Hey, Taylor Swift, Taylor Swift, she got her start from Toby Keith." And Toby Keith, if you didn't know this, he just died recently. He was a real right-wing guy, and he was friends with General Flynn. As a matter of fact, he gave General Flynn, in General Flynn's office, he had 2 of Toby Keith's guitars. That's how close they were. And Toby Keith got his start in country music by the guy that Patrick Berge worked for in that intelligence operation. Okay? Now, when Berge spills this to me, at first I totally missed the significance. But then I was, oh, wait a minute, repeat that, Pat. Yeah. And it came out with that stuff. So that's a really good episode. Then we have this episode with these 2 comedians coming up. They had this incredible story. I was a guest on their show, and they were so kind to me. I said, you know what, man, we talked about this project they're working on here. Let me see. I think it's JT. There it is. JT Kelly and Sam Castillo. And it's called the Bad News Podcast. And they pretty much do the same stuff we do here. And they're stand-up comedians, but they're not as funny as me. So I don't know that. And so the story about this FBI agent who's supposed to be in Austin on some kind of training mission, and he walks into a nightclub and shoots himself. And people have tried to get the FOIA records on this and the police reports, and there's really it's a mystery of what's going on there. Like these mystery symptoms in Arizona. So that's coming up. That'll be in the second hour. The first hour will be Patrick Berge. Okay, and that's the brand new content for you this week. Okay. Let's see. Go back to the notes. Because I've got so many notes tonight. Although I tell you, I regret not retiring last week. So they're eating the cats. And they're eating the dogs. and they're eating the pets of the people that live there. How can you? You know, when you got to do an hour of live radio every week, you know, plus the interviews, you know, and someone drops something like that into your lap, you know, God, it's once in a lifetime opportunity. I should have quit while I was ahead, but I'm back. I come back for more torture. So let's see. There's so much. 10 minutes in. Okay. Breaking news. P. Diddy announces he's going to run for president in a bid to stay out of federal prison. I wonder where he got that idea from, right? But anyway, we had this whole thing with Mr. Diddy. Diddy or Diddny? That's what I want to know. Diddy. I think he did. Okay. You know, this guy goes back a long time. Remember that show when he had that show? Because, you know, I knew about Diddy. My first exposure to him. In fact, my first exposure to him, I saw him at an airport with J-Lo. Okay, when I was back doing my stuff, flying back and forth to Arizona and back. And he was wearing a kind of an ill-fitting suit that was a little too big for him. And J-Lo was a little chubby, I'll be honest with you, okay? But I saw them, you know, they were standing right there. They didn't have a big security entourage around them or anything. So that was my first exposure to him. Then the second time he came into my orbit was when I heard that when he shot that pregnant woman in the hand, because my friend was the EMS driver in that ambulance, okay? Not the driver. He was one of the techs taking care of the injured woman who was screaming at the top of her lung, "Puffy shot me in the hand. I'm pregnant. Puffy shot me in the hand. Puffy shot me." And everyone, the guy told me that what they were doing was they put their fingers in their ears and they went, "I can't hear you. I can't hear you." And Puffy was sitting there on the curb with J-Lo and one of his drivers and bodyguards. And he was yelling out, "I'll give you 50,000. I'll give you 75,000. I'll give you 100,000 to take the beef for him, you know." And the driver did ultimately take the rap for him of the possession of the gun. Otherwise, everything just miraculously just disappeared and went away. And Mr. Diddy Love, Daddy Puffy, went on his own merry way to do whatever he wants. It's my second exposure to him. My third personal exposure to Mr. Diddy was a friend of mine, was a cop in New York City, and he had gotten a security cop off-duty job through Keith Schiller, who is Trump's head of security. Now, back then, at the time, he may not have been involved directly with Trump. Keith Schiller used to work for Fisher House, the Fisher Foundation, Fisher House. Fisher's this rich guy. And when he had this fetish of when his friends had a funeral, he would hire 1,000 cops to show up in uniform and play the bagpipes and a parade of, you know, motorcycles, all kind of stuff, you know. And it was Keith Schiller who would broker those cops. And Schiller was so powerful with these cops that when me and my partner tried to start our little background employment screening company in Colorado. It wasn't even in New York. You know, we were starting this company. He was so jealous and so pissed off. He said, "Anybody who works for these two guys, you know, you're not going to work for me again." Like we were some kind of challenge to him. Had nothing to do with what he's doing, okay? Then he hired me on another job and never paid me, okay? So that's where I left off with him. Okay. Wasn't a lot of money, and I didn't really chase him down, but, you know. Anyway. My buddy was doing a security job, and it was a P. Diddy event. And the job went through Keith Schiller, Trump's head of security, who later on became Trump's White House man. Now, you're not going to see that in the news anywhere, okay? You're not going to find that in the news anywhere. It may come out, ultimately. Like everything else I talk about, it comes out 5-6 years later. Everything else I tell you about, I haven't been wrong once, man, I don't think. You know, fine, if I have been, come back and correct me. So anyway, what did we have this week? Mr. Diddy got no bail. He offered to put up $50 million and had a letter of intent to sell his plane. And the judge says, no way. And one of the reasons why no way is you're at risk to the public because you're threatening and you're intimidating witnesses. Okay? And there's even some kind of speculation right now about that Aliyah plane crash. Remember that? When the plane was overloaded and the plane crashed? You know? Easy to pull something like that off. Okay? Because there's this Odie guy talks about how they were in private planes flying back and forth drugs. And the guy, he doesn't name him, but the guy who got arrested, with one of Diddy's staff people got arrested for that, for delivering drugs back and forth in private planes for Diddy. But so he must have flipped on Diddy too. Odie's definitely flipped on Diddy. Odie's the guy at the Doral golf course that shot up the joint, shot a cop, I think, in there too. And the video is kind of funny, the surveillance video of him, because he's sliding around in this slippery form. Then he puts up a big, I think he put up either a Trump flag or an American flag. I got to watch that thing again because I haven't watched it in a while. But it's up there on Patreon for free. You can find it there for free. Along with the song, We're Eating the Dogs, We're Eating the Cats. I put that up there tonight too. Anyway. So Odie spills the beans and all this stuff. Then I looked into Odie. It's very clear. After he said in his divorce paperwork that he had no money. Right after the divorce, he's running out and he's buying all these properties. Okay? So he got a big settlement, a big cash settlement. I speculate that's from Diddy. There's no disposition to his case. He has an open case since 2018 where he's on video shooting cops. I'll say that again. In 2018, on video, he shoots a bunch of cops. He's on confession on video. And the case is open. Now, he pled not guilty. And there was, if you look up the case, there's a whole bunch of subpoenas out there for witnesses, like 100 people, which is very unusual, especially in a case like this where you're on video shooting a cop. What do you need 100 witnesses for that, boy? So, he's using leverage of information that he has. He talks about some other stuff in there, too, about the Illuminati and all kind of stuff. That I think he gets from the internet. But he was one of these sex workers that Diddy would hire to go in and have sex with these girls that were drugged, and then Diddy would watch and bop it a boop, and do whatever he wants. Okay, so this is the thing, man. Okay, and anyway, by the way, he's saying this in 2018 before anybody was saying this, before the Cassie lawsuit, before the indictment, before anything. Okay, so what do we have this week? Mr. Diddy, he hires this lawyer, Mark Agnifilo. I don't know how to pronounce it because I've only seen it written down. I've looked the man up. He's a very, very prestigious attorney. He worked on that Nexum thing for Keith Raniere. He worked with Harvey Weinstein and some other big RICO-type cases. Only problem is he's lost a lot of those big cases. I think Raniere got 120 years. And Diddy here does not have a chance, okay? Even he could give up the Pope. He could give up a video of the Pope screwing the highest, the Rebbe, Lubavitch Rebbe, okay? Both of them bedoodling each other and still not get out of this because he's got those firearm charges, the face and the fully automatic firearms, man. He has 3 fully automatic firearms that are unregistered. And he defaced the serial numbers off of them. That's a mandatory minimum of 27 years, okay? And I think they could give him 27 years for each one. He's got a good lawyer to negotiate that down, but okay, 27 years, okay? Okay? To start. The federal prison is not like the state prison, okay? Or the county, the federal court, it's not like the state court, okay? It's a whole it's a 97% conviction rate, first of all. And then there's no good time. You do like 80, 90% of your time, man. There's no good time and stuff like that. And, it's an uphill battle to beat the feds. All right. Now, so they deny his bail, saying, Mr. Diddy, we're denying your bail, even though you're offering us $50 million, because you're a risk to the public. You're a danger to the public because, when we've got you here, there's allegations of you arsoning people's cars and stuff like that and pulling guns on people. You're going to intimidate witnesses, So they lose the hearing, the bail hearing. Mr. Agnifilo appeals that hearing the very next day. So what happens? Live on TV, you see Diddy's son, who's got his own lawsuit for doing the exact same stuff, which makes you think, the father's a rapist, now the son's a rapist too, when does that start? Encourage your son to rape women, or maybe there was some activity between them, because you hear all this stuff about Puffy being gay, Clive Lewis and Clive Davis and all this you hear these things, all over the place. People have been talking about that stuff for a long, long time. Other people, other pop stars that are names that are, so distraught now they're not in the face of the public. Maybe they're cooperating. You ever think of that? Maybe that's where they're not out in the public right now. Okay. So anyway, the bill is denied because he's a risk to the public. He's a danger to the witnesses. And what does his son do? He shows up to court with 12 goons, 12 huge bouncer type guys. Okay. I would call them thugs, but the thing is, thugs has become such a racist term. If they were white guys, I'd call them thugs. These were Italian guys, I'd say these are thugs. That's what they are. But every black guy, unarmed black guy, gets shot by the cops right away. These people in the media start calling them thug. That's a racist term now. It's become. So I'm not going to call these guys thugs, but they are goons, and they are bouncer types. They look like dangerous guys. And they're not even dressed for court. One of these guys is wearing a football jersey. What the hell are you doing, man? I had some, everybody knows, okay, when I was around 25 years old, I had my first case. My first case was a Class E felony battery, okay, because I broke a guy's jaw. My girlfriend's ex-husband was being abusive to his own kids. He was being abusive to my girlfriend, and he was being rude to me, And so I waited till one night, and we got him alone, and I broke his jaw, and I broke my hand on his jaw, okay? Because I had already had a broken hand, but I didn't want to fight this guy anyway. And I broke my hand on his jaw. I had to go back to the hospital and have my hand reset. And then I think I told the story, too, that while we were working on this case, I went down to the hospital, and I pretended I was him, and I got copies of his x-rays. Because back in those days, there was no HIPAA, no Privacy Act. You could pull off kind of stuff like that. I walk into my lawyer's office with the x-rays, and we're looking at the light. What are we looking at? We don't know. Okay. But when I would go to court, I got a battery case, right? Because, it's a fight. So when I would go to court, I wouldn't bring 10 thugs with me. Wait, why don't I say thugs? I wouldn't bring 10 my guys with me, And I had guys. I had guys way bigger than his guys. When I went to court on my case, I would comb my hair to the side, and like slick down, like a nerd. Short haircut. And then I got glasses that were fake glasses. Eyeglasses that I would wear. Okay, I think I was wearing contacts. No, I probably didn't even need contacts, but I had fake eyeglasses. Like Clark Kent, eyeglasses. I was tempted to put a little piece of tape around it, to be a real nerd. So I had the hair, I had the glasses, and then I would wear a suit and tie, of course. You would do it every time I'm court appearance, except, the next morning when you showed up with your rabbit. But suit and tie, and then I wore a trench coat over that, and I brought an umbrella with me. In case I was like a British gentleman in court. And even when my lawyer first saw me, he laughed when he saw me, But that's what you do, man, in real life. But these guys are in such a bubble. They're so in their own world where they're so used to bullying people around. They think it's going to work on the federal court system to walk in there with 12 guys. They're a beef. Not going to happen, my friends. A big bad mistake. Now, there's another thing out there going on. Because, I got to tell you, man, there's so many experts out there. I love turning on Twitter and reading the experts. Legendary experts. People send me emails and say, Ed, what about the legendary expert on the Epstein case? Well, why don't you have them on your show? Because they're full of shit. That's why, okay? So some of these legendary experts are pontificating. Because Diddy's being held at MDC in Brooklyn, that it's the same jail where they held Jeffrey Epstein. So Diddy's going to be suicided, just like Jeffrey Epstein was suicided at the MDC. But the only problem with that is MDC is in Brooklyn. Epstein was held at the MCC in Manhattan. Now, these are both federal jails, the pretrial detention centers. Okay. Both of them. Okay. Now, both have the exact. I've been to both. Okay. I was not as an inmate, I was there working as a private investigator on big organized crime cases. Okay. That were held in federal jail before federal court. And the conditions at that time, back in like 1980 or 81, 1980, 81. The conditions back in those days were horrendous. They didn't even have air conditioning in the housing where the inmates were housed. In the conference room where they would come meet with the attorneys and the investigators, we had air conditioning. We could sneak in food. As a matter of fact, we would be allowed to bring them clothes for court. Okay. And we would sneak in. One of the things we would do is in the tie boxes, right? Like a $200 tie. And in the tie boxes, we would put salami in there so they could eat salami. They try salami. All that got messed up. We couldn't do it anymore because of John Gotti was bringing in turkey dinners, man. This guy really ruined it for everybody. But back in those days, you could bring in contraband into the conference room, and everybody's winking, looking the other way. You can get away with it. But, by the way, then they're walking into court. Their tie smells like salami. This is what really goes on in real life with this kind of stuff. But anyway, so both of these jails are very, very corrupt. The conditions are horrible, but they're different jails in different boroughs. They're not the same jail. Okay, and by the way, too, I was thinking about this because, Lev Parnas, who's been on this show. As a matter of fact, tonight they're having a behind-the-scenes launch party because he's got a new show, I think on MSNBC, or it's a new podcast or something, but it's produced by Rachel Maddow. Now, Lev Parnas was buddies with Rudy Giuliani, and he's the one who arranged a perfect phone call with Ukraine, with Zelensky and Trump, and he was involved in a lot of stuff because he was right drinking buddies there with Giuliani. He was held, I believe, at